was so hard to see yesterday. Dak Prescott suffered a compound fracture and dislocation of his ankle while being tackled in the third quarter in yesterday's win against the Giants. Dak already underwent a successful surgery, but is, of course, playing on the franchise tag this year and is expected to miss 4 to 6 months. So, Shannon, what will this injury mean to Dak and his future in Dallas?
There's a good chance this is the last time you saw Dak Prescott in that uniform. Skip, Dak's going to be a free agent. And how do you pay someone $38 million with the uncertainty of this injury? I just don't see how that happens. Is some other team going to come in and offer him a short term? Because basically, Skip, for the next year, he's going to be on a short term, prove-it deal. Prove that you're healthy, prove that you're still the Dak Prescott that we saw up until this injury happened. And I just don't see the Cowboys taking that gamble. They were unwilling to take a gamble for $38 million this year with no injury. And Dak hadn't missed a start. As you mentioned, he had missed a couple of snaps here and there over the course of his career, but never a start. And you mean to tell me a guy's going to suffer a compound fracture, an ankle fracture, a dislocation, and you're going to come in and you're going to franchise him? I don't see that happening. I think there's a greater than 50% chance that Dak has played his last game, although I hope that's not the case. But Skip, and I've said this, I've always, and I was in the league when free agency took place. I've hated this. I hated the franchise tag because, Skip, it's all on me. I got to go out there every week, and you know how brutal and how dangerous the game of football is. So I got to have 65 car crashes a week. And I just hope that I don't get in one so severe that it puts me out for an extended period of time, or it puts me out for the entirety of the year. In other words, the team, I don't care what they tell you. Dak had no red flags, so he had no off-the-field issues that would cause you to concern, like, man, if we give him this kind of money, Skip, man, we got to worry about if he's going to be on time, if he's going to get here fighting in the bars.
Nope.
There was no...
This was strictly about football.
Exactly. They bet against Dak, and they won. And I hate that it happened. But I hope Dak is able to come back, be stronger and better than ever, and get the payday. But it looks like right now the $150 to $170 million payday that he was seeking for the temporarily, Skip, is out the window.
I still can't put it in the context of they bet against him and they won. I don't get that.
Because they, Skip, okay,
they paid him almost $35 million. If they paid him nothing and said you have to...
They want the long-term security. They want what he wanted what Alex Smith got. You see, Alex Smith was out of commission for 2 years and was making $28, $29 million. If Dak doesn't play next year, how much does Dak make? Not a dime. It's the long-term security that they want, not that short-term guarantee.
Okay, here's my opinion of this, and I don't know this for a fact, but I do not believe he's done in Dallas. I believe he will play next year on another tag that will pay him almost $38 million.
I believe that.
Well, I do. And it's almost incumbent upon Jerry to give him a shot to show that he can bounce back to 100%. Because when you tag him, you can't know for sure. You really can't know for sure until game 1 next year.
Exactly.
Because I don't know if you even want to try him in any I don't know if we'll have any preseason games. It seems like they're a thing of the past.
Basically, you're tagging him without seeing whether or not he's any dropbacks or anything.
I believe they will do it because they love him, they believe in him. They just didn't believe in him to Patrick Mahomes' elevation of salary because the agent wanted $40+ million. Even you agreed that what was on the table was a fair offer.
Was fair.
And should Dak be kicking himself? I could have taken the long-term security. I could have had it. I could have had 5 years. I don't know what it was. The problem is nobody is sure what what was actually on the table.
Right.
I've heard 34. I've heard 35. I've heard 36. Somewhere in there.
Right.
With as much as Jane Slater reported, $80 million guaranteed at signing. That's very good. That is long-term, real, live, authentic security. That's the kind you can take to the bank. I kept saying he's got a dozen national TV commercials. That's some income that you have to consider as part of being America's team's quarterback. And it's a big deal. And it's a great place to be. And he kept saying, I want to retire a Dallas Cowboy. Okay, well, you could have taken that deal. But again, a source told me he was very close to it. the agent was overplaying his hand. And that's what I believe from the start.
But I don't believe
the agent was pushing for a little too much.
But think about what Deshaun Watson came in. Deshaun Watson came in and got $39 million. So that's what Dak knew the market was closer to 40 than it was the low 30s, which Jerry was trying to go. Now, you and I both, you can see, we conceded this. He's not Mahomes. He's not in that category.
I don't think he's quite Deshaun. I don't. But I love him. I've told you, he's at the bottom of the top 10, which is really good. He's 9th or 10th. That's where I have him.
So with that being...
That's good enough to go win a Super Bowl.
Yes. Okay.
All right? So the point is, Jerry, who's always overpaid his stars, finally drew a line in the sand at quarterback because he said, my God, you realize the cap is about to sink into the sunset. It's going to sink from about $200 million to $175 million because of the pandemic. Well, Jerry's thinking, gee, I can't swallow this. If I pay him 40 plus and I end up overpaying my quarterback, that's the one place you can't climb out of. You can climb out of the DeMarcus Lawrences and the Jalen Smiths and the Amari Coopers. You can get over that. It's not, quote unquote, fatal to overpay those kind of players. Excuse me, but if you overpay the quarterback, you go from DeMarcus Lawrence at $21 million to all of a sudden you pay 40-something million.
Right.
You double that. It's hard to climb out from under that.
Well, Skip, I just think the thing is that they had what could Dak have shown them that would have convinced him? He won just as many divisions as Tony Romo. He won just as many playoff games as Tony Romo. So my thing to Jerry, what could he have shown you that would have convinced you? Because a lot of times, Skip, you just have to, you believe, okay, we found that guy. This is the guy that can take us. It's just like when you draft a guy, Skip, Andy Reid went and says, you know what? That guy from Texas Tech, the offense that we want to run, that's our guy. You guys just got to believe in it. And I don't believe I don't think you believe that Jerry wholeheartedly believes that Dak is the guy.
Okay, let's put it this way. He really likes him. He doesn't love him. As far as he's it. I've got my Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Jerry privately says, I've got my Mahomes boy. Nope.
And I think the thing, Skip, this all started in 2016. Jerry wanted to reinsert Tony Romo. Jason Garrett fought tooth and nail.
He did.
That's why Jason Garrett and Dak Prescott's like this.
And remember, Tony Romo conceded after the Pittsburgh win at Pittsburgh. Remember that?
Yes.
In the locker room, according to several reports, Tony Romo turned to Stephen Jones and said, I can't beat that.
You don't know how difficult what he just did. You don't know how difficult that is.
Right. And remember, then on Tuesday, the off day, Tony delivered a concession speech.
Yes.
It's his job, and it should be his job.
And so Jason and Dak are like this, and Jerry and Dak, there's a little separation between the two.
I would agree with that.
Where that's never been the case with Jerry and his stars.
Okay, but I know that Jerry occasionally watches the show, and maybe during football season he watches it a lot. And Jerry respects the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
And over the last 13 games, after Dak got off to a rip-roaring start in the first 3, the Hall of Famer across from me over the last 13 gave him 7 Fs for his performance, and they finished 8-8. And down the stretch, dare I have to bring this up, at New England, at Chicago, at Philadelphia, he wasn't very good. 8-8. It's hard to sell 8-8 is Mahomes-esque.
Right.
And then this year, I agree with you. I told you my biggest fear was I thought Dak was sort of crumbling under the pressure to play up to win the contract last year. And he didn't do that well with it, and his team couldn't back him up either. Right. And this year he gets off to not a rip-roaring start because he's throwing for record yardage, and they should have been 0-4. Right?
Right.
And Jerry's sitting up in his throne, up in his box saying, I don't know.
Skip, but I think the thing is that it takes special people. When you look at the guys that are really good, and I don't think anybody's going to say Dak Prescott is Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott's Peyton Manning.
Nope.
But if you look at those guys that when they had poor defenses, they were able to overcome those things. I agree. So those historically great, but Dak still got a ton of come from behind victories, which lets you know he's capable of. Skip, I can see if he didn't have any, but he has enough on his resume to let you know, okay, he made the right stuff. He can do this more times than not.
Hey, when he's hopelessly behind, you better watch it because he is a comeback warrior.
He's very dangerous.
Hey, he is very dangerous. Unfortunately, this year, he couldn't put the exclamation point on it. And ironically, Andy Dalton, who had the same problem in Cincinnati, he put an exclamation point on it yesterday.
I believe, Skip, for me, I believe if given the same circumstances, Dak Prescott would have done the exact same thing.
I sure hope so.
There's no question in my mind.
Okay. Well, I still believe he's going to get tagged again. And it's not bad money, $38 million.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't believe he's going to get tagged,
Yeah.
Skip.
Okay. Here we go.
At this point, just hope Dak recovers quickly and well. We're thinking about you, Dak. Chris Broussard is going to join us next, guys, because we do have to talk about LeBron's 4th title win. I want to know what he has to say after the break.
Again?